This might be the final turnaround for Ethereum. Have a look at this chart. This is Ethereum's dominance long term. So how much of all of crypto is currently in ETH? And that trades between 7.2% and 21%. This is when the tokenomics update of Ethereum was announced. Then came that update, that's the merge. This is when Tom Lee of BitMine started to buy Ethereum via a treasury company. Now those acquisitions have slowed down since the beginning of August of last year. And so Ethereum tended to underperform. But it looks like we are finally breaking out. The bottoms aligned very well, the tops aligned very well. This is a parallel trend. And that breakout probably does not come from purchases by Tom Lee, because here on strategic ETH reserve.xyz, we don't see any acceleration of Ethereum purchases by Wall Street. Now there's an adjusted view of the Ethereum dominance, and that's this chart over here. This looks at Ethereum's market cap relative to all of crypto, excluding the stable coins. ETH dominance looks at all of crypto. ETH divided by total ES excludes the stable coins. Now that's slightly more accurate, but even on that chart, we do see a recent breakout. Now, is this breakout sustainable? Is it a fake out? I don't know, but I'm very surprised by this actually. Sometimes people in the comments tell me that I'm flip-flopping, that I'm always changing my opinion. Usually that's a misunderstanding because we talk about different things, right? We talk about different time horizons. We talk about relative performance versus absolute performance. This time though, I'm really changing my opinion. I was very bearish on ETH, but is it justified to stay bearish given the breakout and given that the number of Ethereum that are getting staked continues to go up? This is now just measured in ETH, but the chart measured as a percent of all of ETH looks very similar. Now, the more Ethereum gets locked away, the more Ethereum exits the circulating supply, the more the circulating supply shrinks, the higher the price can potentially go. And maybe that's the reason for the breakout. This chart is very positive. If this continues to go up, that's bullish for Ethereum's price development. Here's the number of active addresses on the Ethereum network over time. This does fluctuate quite a bit, but over the cycles, it continues to go up. There's not a lot of cryptocurrencies where that's the case. Even the number of active Bitcoin addresses tends to go down over time. Something that I don't hear many people talk about. And so here we are. This is Ethereum's price relative to Bitcoin's price. Instead of just going sideways, as we see in the dominance chart, Ethereum actually slightly outperforms Bitcoin across the cycles. So from this bottom over here to this bottom over here, we've got an outperformance of maybe around 15% or so. That's over the course of 6 years. But let's again zoom in, and even on this chart, we have seen a breakout. I was actually betting on Ethereum to underperform Bitcoin. I opened a position just a few days ago, and now with that breakout, I've closed that. The fundamental thesis of this trend channel has been invalidated. At least it looks like this. Ethereum is known as the central platform for decentralized finance. When we look at its total value locked, so how much capital is currently on the chain, this very much correlates with the entire ecosystem. This is the TVL, or how much capital is currently in decentralized finance for all blockchains over time. And here's the same chart for only Ethereum. ETH is still roughly half of all of decentralized finance. Now, when we measure that total value locked in Ethereum tokens itself, we can see that there is somewhat of a ceiling. Decentralized finance isn't necessarily growing in itself anymore. It now mainly grows measured in US dollars if the assets grow in price. But it looks like from the bottom and the top that we are somewhat at an equilibrium level now. And we see similar equilibriums when we just compare Ethereum's market cap relative to all the rest of the small altcoins. This chart starts at the end of 2017, and since then, sometimes Ethereum was slightly larger than the small altcoins, and sometimes it was smaller. So what we're looking at is ETH divided by total 3 ES. And total 3ES is cryptocurrency's market cap, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the stablecoins. So everything but ETH, BTC, and the non-risky assets. We tend to trade in a range, but again, we are bang on the equilibrium. This dotted line, that's the average ratio of ETH to the rest of crypto. It looks like the negative momentum has been broken, which doesn't mean that Ethereum will rally from here, but it also means that now placing a short on Ethereum is probably quite risky. I'm out of my short. I made a lot of money shorting Ethereum in the past, but I'm not sure if it's the best risk to reward play. I think, for example, Solana looks much more bearish right now, but more on that on a follow-up video later on this channel. If you don't want to miss that follow-up video, feel free to subscribe over here. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time here on YouTube, or see you in Premium. There's also a link to Premium directly popping up here on the screen. There is a 7-day money back guarantee. In case you don't like Premium, just message me within the first 7 days and I'll refund you. No questions asked. See you next time. Cheers.